Hey, howdy, welcome. I have just moments ago finished the first episode of Gundam Requiem for Vengeance, The Haunted Forest. I want to do a series of check-in videos after each episode where I can collect my thoughts and give my vibe of how I think this worked out. Overall, this was pretty solid. As far as first episodes go, I'm not mad at all. I had some apprehension, as everyone else did, about the way the models looked, the way the animation looked, the way the dub worked. I did swap back and forth a couple times between Japanese and English, though it seems the lip flaps on the characters are meant for English, so it was a little off-putting to put it in Japanese, a little jarring. I didn't keep it on for long. Overall, the performance of the voice actors is not terrible, but it's serviceable at best. I will say something I noticed throughout various scenes in the episode. The facial animations of the characters are actually pretty good. When our Alpha gets called Mama Wolf, the little smile she gets from that Charlie kind of gets out of her, that was good. That was a good moment. That looked good. I liked the way that was animated. Anytime the general's yapping off in the background, you can see the concern on his face. You can see the seriousness of the situation. I think they nailed the actual character models anytime they're not talking. When they are talking, there's some kind of uneasy, unearthly stiltedness about it. I'm gonna see if that gets a little bit better in the future. I know the animation rigging, at least for actions, for people moving around, people diving, shooting, actual mobile suits moving, mobile weapons, the saberfish that show up, the DOPS, the anti-aircraft fire, all of that looks fantastic. I had a lot of reservations about the designs, but already after one episode, the Solari Zaku's look great. They move with a comfortable amount of weight. The Type 61 tanks, the DOPS flying through the air, the saberfish making strafing runs, those all work. The mechanics are down. Now, as for the content of the episode, I guess I'll put a small spoiler warning up right here. Anything past the next 10 seconds, I'm going to talk about what happens. Beep. Okay, so, good. Great shit. The initial ambush was something that was previewed to us before. Netflix put out a little thing, and it was like, hey, this is the first 2 minutes of the episode, blah, blah, blah. It's exactly what we saw. A procession of Zeon troops are moving in on a seemingly abandoned base. When they get close enough, Type 61 tanks and support troops start coming out of the woodworks. The anti-aircraft fire of the base turns on. They start lighting up the Zeon column. Because it's a complete and utter ambush, a complete rout, they can't do much to fight back effectively. They're not in a good position. The Federation forces were waiting. They had air support. They had anti-air fire to try to stop some of those reinforcements coming in. They had a good solid trap. As soon as the Red Wolves and Salamanders hit the ground, though, a little different story. Zaku's were winning the war for a reason, because despite better tactics, or mass fire, or weight of arms, there's not much an individual unit of Earth Federation can do against a group of Zaku's, and that was shown here. Though it did feel like they kind of gave up a little too easily. I found it funny that Wolfmother's talking about how there's no enemies in visual range as we see some Type 61 tanks backing up in front of her. But it was, revealed later that was for a reason. They gave a token defense. They completely obliterated the Zeon column. They got the reinforcements lured in, and they had a plan for it later. The human action of the Zeon ground troops sweeping the abandoned base was actually pretty cool. I like the way they were moving. I like the way they were breaching. Like, it worked. It worked in an animation standpoint. It gave me a sense of what's happening there on the ground. The camp scene afterwards was corny as fuck. But I think that was intentional. I didn't want to lose these characters before I got to know them a little bit better to see if there's any more depth to them. But it seemed like a real sassy young guy, cold sniper, fun-loving Chubbs Kentucky whiskey boy. They're archetypes. And they serve their purpose. Because as soon as night falls, the camp seems to have minimal sentry setup, which is fucking goofy. I guess satellite imaging really thought they were safe. A bunch of hidden bombs go off in the base. Don't know how they missed them. Kind of curious to see if they explain where those were. Our protagonist seems to know they're going off a second beforehand, which is new type shenanigans. And as soon as the bombs go off in their disarray, hidden Federation forces move in. Infantry, tanks start coming in, wrecking anything still immobile, shredding through Zeon troops. And as soon as the Red Wolves get to their Zaku's and start mounting counteroffensive, we see it. We see the Gundam loom through the smoke and the flame, and it looks so fucking good. That was a great shot. Anytime it's on screen is a great shot. I don't know if it's the darkness of the scene obscuring the model that's making it work, but it's working. The way the Zaku's were moving were working for me too, and they were distinct enough that even after that short action scene, I knew who I was looking at, and I knew who was where. Like, the actual composition of the battle was working out pretty well. Zaku tanks showing up and actually doing work was appreciated. And one by one, we start charging the Gundam, and between its beam weapons, its armor, its mobility, it is shredding through our team. It is a straight-up horror story. The way our sniper was just smushed under the fist. Ugh. And whoever this Gundam pilot is doesn't seem to be, messing around or wasting time either. Clearly a soldier, clearly a professional, taking steps to avoid direct fire, taking steps to neutralize enemies the most efficient way possible. A single beam shot through the center of Chubbs. Because that gun cannon beam rifle don't fuck around, and I appreciate them using it. As soon as they start rushing his position, he knows he can't draw fire that fast. He switches to melee. He uses his armor and his shield to block what he can. I'm really surprised there wasn't more lasting damage from that, anti-ship rifle that sniper was using. But whatever, it's feeding into the whole invincible horror villain thing, which is fine. Putting the fist to the cockpit was something I didn't expect, but it worked. Not sure we had to rip the tubes off it though. That seemed mean-spirited. And just that shot after it takes out the sniper, after it takes the bazooka shell, unscathed, where it's standing there in the woods with the moon illuminated above it, untouched. I need to find that shot and grab it for wallpaper. That shit's great. Gundam EX is growing on me by the second. And the final view where she's sitting up in her / cockpit, and the Gundam's looping over, beam saber illuminated, and the shot just stills. Great way to end episodes with suspense. That freeze frame that immediately takes you out of the suspense, jarringly, in a good way, I think, and sets you up for more. I think this was a strong first episode. I think this worked. For what they're trying to do to tell a story about a Zeon unit being hunted by this overwhelming force, sure. Yeah, I'm down. The beginning was a little bit, I don't want to call it half-assed, but it was a real safe setup. I'm sure the lore nerds are going to have some complaints here and there, despite the fact that all the mechanics in it, all the machines looked amazing. I'm really excited to see where the next couple episodes go, and I'll report back, like I did here, at the end of each episode, to see how my thoughts and feelings are evolving. But I'm in. I like this. And I hope you do too.